All right, guys, by the title of this video, you know we got some work to do. Got the LeMans in the front garage, up on stands, and I have found a few problems. So I've been driving it for a couple years the way it is, and you know, we've turboed it, we've thrown some tubular control arms in the front end, changed it over to Ride Tech. The overall performance of the car is pretty impressive, but I've started feeling some clunks. The car is pretty squirrely and I've got a wandering problem. The car is all over the road. I'm constantly correcting the steering wheel, trying to keep the thing in my lane. So I put up on stands and we are figuring this out. So to help with the squirreliness, I had new tires put on the back. These are a little bit bigger, and I feel like it's about as big as I want to go on this rim. It's an 8.5 inch wide rim, and I went from a 255 to a 275. And there's a little bit of poke to the tire. So I think that's about as wide as I want to go. I don't want to step up to like a drag radial or anything because the car has limitations. It's only got a 10 bolt rear end, 28 spline axles. I don't want to break anything. So slowly stepping up things like traction, and hopefully we don't find the breaking point yet. Now this is where it gets hairy. I'm gonna show you what I found. So under the back of the car, we are right above the rear end. That frame has split. You can see, look at that. She split. And if I roll forward here, my light, that crack goes all the way up. She split all the way up. And that is where my control arms, my upper control arms bolt to, right? Like that brace is important. And we gotta help it. It needs help. And that's not the only crack. We roll up to the front. We have crack number 2, right by the bag. So that's fun. We have transmission leaking from various different points. Pretty much all these fittings all have a drop of oil. Look at that line, has a drop of oil hanging off of them. And it's dripping onto the exhaust. Look at the color on the exhaust. That's the transmission oil burning off. So that's a fire hazard. I'm just gonna keep rolling here. We're just gonna work our way forward, showing you all the problems. These are the eBay upper and lower tubular control arms I picked up. I've already replaced this ball joint within the first year. Luckily, the replacements are just factory replacements. But that was junk. Now, this bushing right here is shot. I don't know if I'll be able to hold the camera steady and shake it at the same time. Let's see. It's gonna be hard to... That bushing's shot. And basically everything in the steering in the front end all these drag links, tie rod ends, all of that. We're gonna replace it all because that drag link right there definitely has a lot of play in it. And I never replaced it when I built the car. I bought everything brand new from Rock Auto. Check it out, everything new. And this was like under $100. Even the clamps, bought everything. Whew. We're gonna change it all out. And I gotta get this done quick because I've got this thing scheduled for an alignment in 2 days and I've only got 2 evenings to work on it. So, steering linkage, control arm, fire hazard, 2 cracks in the frame, tires are already dealt with. We got some work to do. Time to get to work. All right, I got the old steering linkage next to the new one and spun everything in roughly the same length as the old stuff. So when I put this in, I shouldn't be too far off. The control arm, we're gonna take in the garage and get this bushing swapped out. All right, so this is interesting. Urethane bushings that came in these arms, took them out, and there's a little bit of play. Like, it's very minor. Brand new AC Delco rubber bushings, like, have way more play. So here's what I think is happening. Now, I don't know if when you tighten these down, if these will crush and kind of fill up the gap. I don't know. Either way, these are rubber and they're gonna have more give than the urethane. I didn't even know these were urethane bushings until I pulled them out. Now, if you tighten these down and they kind of expand and close up the space, then why can't these? Now, these guys, when I took these nuts off, I probably could have taken them off by hand. I used the impact, but I really didn't need to because these guys were not tight at all. And that came like that out of the box. I didn't take these apart when I got them. That's just the way they were. So I think I'm gonna use these guys again. I'm gonna put it back together and I'm just gonna tighten those nuts down more. Maybe that'll crush the urethane bushings a bit and close up that gap a little bit. Because I like the urethane bushings more, and these have less play than those currently have. So I'm gonna put these back together and tighten it down harder than what it was when I got them. Okay, check it. I got everything back together in the front end. Upper control arm's back on, wheels back on. All my steering linkage is bolted back in. And I gave it a quick alignment with a measuring tape. So I just measured the inside of the wheel to the inside of the wheel at the front. And then at the back of the wheel, I've got the same distance. So that's good enough to get me to the alignment shop. So now I'm gonna tackle the welding portion. I already took a little flap wheel and took all the paint off the frame where I have to weld. But in the back here, I'm awfully close to the fuel tank. And the vent for the tank is right up by the frame that I'm welding. So I'm gonna wrap tin foil around the vent and I'm gonna put some cardboard in front of the fuel tank. But I've got a pretty good breeze coming through the garage here, which is good because it'll kind of keep pulling all the fumes out. I am worried about fumes igniting. And anyone that's ever had braided fuel lines with AN fittings, you always have the smell of fuel. They just seem to seep fuel vapors, and there's AN fittings right at the front of the tank, close to where I'm welding. So the fact that there's a breeze coming through is good. Usually a breeze isn't good when you're welding, but I'm using flux core wire for this one. So having a breeze will keep me safe, but it's not really affecting my weld because flux core wire doesn't have shielding gas, is going to be blown away. So I'm going to crawl under there, get this stuff welded together, and we're nearing the end of what we have to fix. So check it out. With using a ratchet strap hooked to each side of the frame, I was able to pull the frame back together. There was over 1/8 of an inch gap here, and I was able to pull it back tight. So now I'm going to weld it back together. The crack went all the way to the top, all the way up here. So I'm going to weld all the way down. I'm going to weld this, grind this smooth, and then put a plate across here. Now I'll be the first one to tell you this ain't the prettiest, but I have a plate welded in there after stitching up the crack. It was difficult to get up in there with the drive shaft and that strap that I removed, the ratchet strap going across. I had a hard time getting up in there. So that's the best she's gonna get, but that'll hold. I also welded up the crack at the front there too. That was pretty simple. So now I can remove my cardboard. Up there's my tin foil covering my vent. There's my vent. So the only thing I've left to tackle now is my leaks. So I'm just gonna go along and snug up all my fittings, wipe everything down with some brake clean, and then we gotta take it for a drive.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Well, the car's back home and it is working great. Made it to the alignment shop, no problem. It was off by a little bit, it got corrected, drove home straight as an arrow. And when we had it up on the lift at the alignment shop, I took a look underneath, no power steering leaks, and there's definitely less creaking now that we have the frame welded back together. So I think we're in good shape now. You know, the fire hazard, the cracked frame, the running all over the road, it was a concern. So dealt with those concerns, and you know, I can get back to just enjoying this. Go have some fun with it. So that's it for this video. We got this thing back up to safe standards again, and I don't know, maybe we should hit the track with it again, see what it'll do this time. My best time so far in the quarter is a 12.4, so I think we can improve upon that, but yeah, we'll see what this weekend has in store. See you later.